Anybody that knows me or has really ever met me, I guess, for very long, or talked to me for very long, or has ever watched any of my videos before, you probably understand my positions on a lot of political ideas and political beliefs and whatnot. And there's one that always keeps coming back. It seems like it's been a pretty hot topic for a number of years. It's always going to be, because the right and the left are completely opposite when it comes down to it, and their beliefs and what they actually believe is right or wrong. And that comes down to abortion. It is one of the most polarizing topics that I believe in the U.S. right now. Probably will be for a number of years, and pretty easy to probably understand where I come from. I'm very conservative. I believe I'm very pro-life, very strong pro-life. I just want to talk about my beliefs in that and why I'm pro-life. In order to have to be pro-abortion or whatever, you'd have to, one of their biggest arguments is that the fetus is not a human. That's why it's allowed. But I have a hard time believing that, because they believe it is part of the mother. And that is what the word that they typically, or the woman that they use, always used to be, part of the mother, part of the woman that it's in, which would be the mother. But in order to be a mother, you have to have children. So, if that fetus is not a human at that time, it is not a child, means that is not a mother. So, on top of that, I believe that, I'm a very strong believer that, I'm Christian. I'm very Christian. I'm definitely, I've read the Bible. I understand. I believe that life starts at conception, not at birth. And I realize it's not a viable human being when it is, in the womb. However, it also says in the Bible that God, as a Christian values, God knew you before you were in the womb. He knew you before you were in the womb. That means you were somebody before. So it's hard for me to believe that any Christian, anybody that is a proclaimed Christian, can have any beliefs that is a viable thing to do, or that is a morally stable or morally okay thing to do, is to allow abortions or have an abortion or whatever. On top of that, the biggest argument that seems to be being made right now is viability. In order for a fetus to be viable, they must be later in the pregnancy, and there's a lot of people that believe that we'll just allow up to viability. Problem is, where's that cutoff? There's a lot of very young babies that are very premature that make it, and there's some that are farther along than those that don't. So where do you cut off the viability? On top of that, viability means that they're able to survive on their own. Well, I hate to break it to you, but there's not any children, period, out there. Any babies that are born, that are alive, that are actually viable. They are, it is required for humans, for their parents to actually take care of them, to feed them, bathe them, to take care of them, to actually keep them alive. So that is a beyond ridiculous argument there as well. So what are we doing then? We're gonna change that to where it's not just viable, within the womb, but also, well, where do you cut that off then? 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, when they're able to work, support themselves? That's ridiculous, but that's basically the argument they're making. On top of that, you're also talking as a fetus is developing. They're having, they've got their own heartbeat, they've got, their own lungs, they've got their own heart, like I said, that's a heart. They've got their own, arms and legs and everything that way. So does a pregnant lady, do they have, 2 hearts, 4 lungs? Do they have 4 arms? Because that's in there. So that's part of the woman. That's according to them. So that, it doesn't make sense. That's the whole thing. Like, it doesn't make sense that is not another human being. That is the argument that they're making. But it's a flawed argument that makes zero sense. I mean, I don't know. And I know I'm gonna probably hear, "Oh, I'm a man. You're a man. You don't have an opinion because it's not your body." So, what they're killing is not their body either. That's another being. That's another heartbeat. That's another brain. That's another set of lungs. That's another person that doesn't get the right to life. The Constitution, it's also where I believe it's on Constitution. Constitution, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Life. The right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That right there should make it an extreme. I mean, that's unconstitutional because that's taking another life. We have, you take another life, you're going to prison. You murder somebody, you're going to prison for a long time. And you should. And that's why I think these doctors that perform this need to be sent to prison. And I know, make it illegal. What are you doing with the mothers? I don't believe that the mothers are guilty, whatever that. I see them more as victims of the system, which is the abortion system. I believe they're more of a victim for having the abortions and being told that it's okay and being told that it's, whether it's legal, that it's all right, that it is the right thing to do. That is much more of a victim than a guilty person. So before you come at me with all that stuff, I have arguments to back this up, and I do believe that there's other options out there. There's a lot of people that would love to have children that cannot. I know several people that they've tried for years and years and years and could not have children, and adoption is always an option. There's always people, make adoption easier for people, make it easier for if the mother does not want, the parents do not want the child, make it easier for them to put it up for adoption and not go through the hassle. And don't stigmatize it to the point where they don't want to because of that, and they think abortion's a better option, because there's a lot of people that love to have children that can't, but don't have the ability to go through the adoption process. It's quite a process. I've never actually been through it, but I do know that it is a process. I know a couple of people that have been through it, the adoption process, and it is quite a process. So make that easier. That's the biggest solution I've got, to make that easier. The adoption and abortion is wrong, and you cannot convince me otherwise, because I understand where I'm coming from. If you want to debate that, I'm more than willing to debate, but you better be open, because I know my standpoints behind it, and my philosophy, that's my philosophy. It is wrong. If you don't want the kid, you don't want to have that responsibility for whatever, then you go ahead and you have the kid, and then you put it up for adoption. That is a much better option, for everybody involved. And you're actually helping people out that would love to have kids. So that's my thoughts. If you like the video, give it a like, share, subscribe. Check out this one right up here.